line. I got stuff. I didn't take every line.
Okay, so now you have to share the tool.
Oh, those are single. That's probably the.
Test. Good morning. Good morning and welcome to our Memorial Day observance here in Hornell. We're gathered here in front of our veterans monuments to embrace the true meaning of Memorial Day, a day dedicated to honoring the veterans who died defending our liberty and our freedom. I will now call on Jack Gardner to offer the invocation.
Today we are here to honor those that have served our country and given their lives so that we may stand here and continue to live in freedom. We need to be constantly reminded of our gift of freedom and those who gave all to make sure future generations continue to know life in a free society. Please bow your heads with me as we ask the Lord's blessing. Lord in heaven, we come this day to ask that your blessing be on this ceremony. Lord, we ask that it would honor those that have given the ultimate sacrifice on our behalf. And Lord, we just pray this in your holy name. Amen.
Please join together to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now I call on Mayor Sean Hogan, who's always been a good friend of the veterans, to offer a welcome.
Good morning and welcome to the 2017 Memorial Day service here in front of our Veterans Monuments. You know, several years ago we've added the tribute to our 75 World War II Hornell residents that lost their lives in World War II. We placed that here. It was a plaque that was in the old high school auditorium that had long since been forgotten. And one of the proudest moments is that we brought that into daylight, so you can see those 75 individuals who lost their lives from Hornell, New York in World War II. One of the greatest honors, this is my last Memorial Day service as your mayor. As you know, I'm not running for re-election, so I will not be here as part of the official ceremony in years to come, although I will be here. One of the greatest honors that I've ever had is being able to be part of this memorial service and to honor those who gave their supreme sacrifice and service to their country. Of all the things I've done in the 32 years, meeting presidents and governors and senators, this ceremony, this day, is at the top of that list. Thank you for the privilege of being your mayor.
We have the Hornell High School Band Brass Ensemble here for the Star Spangled Banner. Police Chief Ted Murray will now offer Memorial Day comments.
Thank you, Vince. Thank you for all that have shown up this morning. This is a very important day, as the mayor said, and I am very honored to be able to speak before you to represent the members of the Hornell Police Department. Memorial Day is a day to honor all who have come before us, all who have made our world a better place, and especially to honor our heroes who have given the ultimate to make our country the place that it is today. In following tradition, we have parades, ceremonies, speeches, we visit grave sites, plant flowers and memorials, and we pray for the souls of the departed. If you have been to any of our local cemeteries, you may have noticed some of the grave sites with a blue and white flag, the Maple City Police Club flags. Historically, we lay those out on Memorial Day, and I'd like to thank Officers McHenry, Officer Day, and Officer Wood this year for carrying on that tradition and going around to all of our cemeteries and the grave sites for those that have died. So as you go to our cemeteries, if you notice those flags, say a special prayer for our fallen police officers who are no longer with us. Our local cemeteries are full of many unwritten stories of men and women who have sacrificed so that we may have the world that we live in today. I myself, I drive through the cemeteries on a regular basis and take a look at some of the monuments and stories, and it's truly amazing what we have right in our valley. And I would encourage everyone to spend some time walking through our cemeteries and honoring these brave souls. On behalf of the men and women of the Hornell Police Department, I thank each and every one of you for attending this morning. May God bless you, and may God bless America.
In 1868, General John A. Logan issued orders that made honoring Civil War dead soldiers a civic duty for all citizens. Today, Post 440 Commander Lisa Herrick is going to read Logan's order.
General John A. Logan's Memorial Day Order. General Order, Number 11, Headquarters, Grand Army of the Republic, Washington, D.C., May 5th, 1868. 1. The 30th day of May, 1868, is designated for the purpose of strewing with flowers or otherwise decorating the graves of comrades who died in defense of their country during the late rebellion, and whose bodies now lie in almost every city, village, and hamlet churchyard in the land. In this observance, no form or ceremony is prescribed, but posts and comrades will in their own way arrange such fitting services and testimonials of respect as circumstances may permit. We are organized, comrades, as our regulations tell us, for the purpose, among other things, of preserving and strengthening those kind and fraternal feelings which have bound together the soldiers, sailors, and Marines who united to suppress the late rebellion. What can aid more to assure this result than by cherishing tenderly the memory of our heroic dead, who made their breasts a barricade between our country and its foes? Their soldier lives were the reveille of freedom to a race in chains, and their death a tattoo of rebellious tyranny in arms. We should guard their graves with sacred vigilance. All that the consecrated wealth and taste of the nation can add to their adornment and security is but a fitting tribute to the memory of her slain defenders. Let no wanton foot tread rudely on such hallowed grounds. Let pleasant paths invite the coming and going of reverent visitors and fond mourners. Let no vandalism of avarice or neglect, no ravages of time, testify to the present or to the coming generations that we have forgotten, as a people, the cost of free and undivided republic. If other eyes grow dull and other hands slack, and other hearts cold in the solemn trust, ours shall keep it well as long as the light and warmth of life remains in us. Let us then, at the time appointed, gather around their sacred remains and garland the passionless mounds above them with choicest flowers of springtime. Let us raise above them the dear old flag they saved from dishonor. Let us in this solemn presence renew our pledges to aid and assist those whom they have left among us as sacred charges upon the nation's gratitude, the soldiers and sailors, widow and orphan. 2. It is the purpose of the Commander-in-Chief to inaugurate this observance with the hope it will be kept up from year to year. While a survivor of the war remains to honor the memory of his departed comrades, he earnestly desires the public press to call attention to this order and lend its friendly aid in bringing it to the notice of comrades in all parts of the country in time for simultaneous compliance therewith. 3. Department commanders will use every effort to make this order effective. By command of John A. Logan, Commander-in-Chief.
Today we have the Hornell High School valedictorian, Aaron Briggs, here to read the Gettysburg Address.
Fourscore and 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation, or any nation so conceived and so dedicated, can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But, in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here dedicated or here have thus far nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
In Flanders Field gave birth to the poppy as a universal symbol of the veterans and the remembrance of those who made the supreme sacrifice. Today, that poem will be read by Natalie Marino, our Girls State attendee.
In Flanders Fields, the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky, the larks still bravely singing fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago, we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. Take up a quarrel with the foe, to you, from falling hands, we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Field.
Thank you, Natalie. This morning's guest speaker is our Gold Star mother, Kim Smith.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kim Smith, and I was asked by Lisa Herrick to be the guest speaker at today's Memorial Day event. Lisa? Is it on? Thanks. Lisa, thank you so much for the invite, and I'm honored to speak today. I also want to take a moment and thank all of our veterans and military members. You all have a special place in my heart. Our military has always been very special to me. I have a room that the decor is all patriotic. I love to fly our beautiful flag, and I've always loved to see flags on family homes, businesses, etc. I feel like I am a caring, giving person, but I could never sign my name to our government. It is often referred to as signing a blank check, up to including your life. There isn't anything I wouldn't do to help someone in need. But the men and women that enlist in our armed forces are a very special breed. They put everything first, before themselves. They fight for our country to keep it safe, along with fighting for people in other countries to keep them safe and hope to have a healthier life. We are lucky at this time that there isn't a draft, and it amazes me how many people make the decision to defend our country as our country is in the middle of this 16-year conflict. Our younger generation, my daughter Grace, for example, doesn't even know what it's like to not be in war. I often wonder if we will ever be out of war, as this has gone on far too long. It's a scary thought for me and for many. And I know I think there's 5, I'm not sure of the names, going into the military from Grace's class. And I know Sam Argentieri, Ben Pollinger, and I think there's a couple more. So thank you for your service. And also, I can't forget Dustin Kennard, who is going to go in the Army as well, which is Gracie's friend. The reason Lisa has asked me to speak today is on January 24th, 2010, I gained a new title. The title is Gold Star Mother. When you have a family member active in the military, you can proudly display a service flag that has a blue star in your window. My son, Zachary Smith, joined the United States Marine Corps on July 8th, 2008, just a couple weeks after his high school graduation. He was stationed at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. he trained for his lifelong dream of a frontline infantryman. Zach really loved his training. Moved up to the position of a point man with an expert rifleman badge. He did extensive training for a year and a half and then was deployed to Afghanistan on December 17, 2009, which was 5 months after he married the love of his life, Ann Deeps. On January 24, 2010, it changed our lives forever. Zach stepped on an IED, an improvised explosive device, while on patrol and was killed in the line of duty. This day, I became a Gold Star mother. I had no idea what this really meant other than I so wished to still be displaying a Blue Star service flag for our family in our window. Through some time, I needed to figure out how to live without my son and thought the best person I could talk to would be another Gold Star mom. I thought about the cards we had received, and there are close to 2,000 sympathy cards that I look through periodically. And believe it or not, the first card I opened was from a very special lady that I knew only the last name and remembered that her son was also killed at war in Vietnam in 1971. Honestly, and I'm embarrassed to say this, but I didn't think a lot about it through the years. It wasn't someone I knew, and I was just 6 years old, but I heard about it through my life over different conversations. I know my feelings were, I felt bad for the three families whenever this topic came up. The family names that I remember are Larry Hatter, Joe Brillo, and Fred Kemp. They're the names I remember from being from our hometown or close to Hornell. Life went on for me, as it does for everyone, and 39 years later, this all surfaced again. And now was a reality for me as I now have lost one of my dear sons to this awful war. This brings me to wanting to tell you the message that people come in and out of our lives. Some people stay forever. Some new ones you meet along your life's journey, and I knew that I had to see Mrs. Sarah Hatter. The first card I opened and I carried in my purse for 5 years, and I know right where it is so that I refer to it a lot. Thank you, Mrs. Hatter. I carried this as I needed a reminder that the path God has me going down is a path that someone else has done, and I need to meet her. After church one Saturday evening, I decided to stop at her house. I rang her doorbell, told her who I was, and she said I was wondering when I would meet you. I saw this beautiful woman that I did not know anything about except for she lost a child the same way I did. She answered every question I had for her, and she answered me honestly. I don't know if she remembers, but one thing that sticks in my head was my question was, how did you do this every day for 39 years and counting? She said to me 6 little words. What other choice did I have? I first was startled. Like, that's all you got? Like, have a little sympathy? And processing was what she said within 5 seconds. I fell in love with her. As she told me what I already knew in my heart, what clicked within my heart and soul, that I have to rise above this. I have to do everything that I possibly can for my family. I need to help them through this great loss. My 2 kids, Nate, who was 23, Grace was 10. How am I going to do this? What questions will they have? Will they be able to cope with this? Will this change them? There was many questions. After a lot of visits, I realized my source had all the answers, just to keep going forward, 1 minute, 1 minute. I learned from my conversation with my new dear friend, Mrs. Hatter, that I have to be the strong one. I have to fight through all the hard times and try to find the good. I have to teach my kids to still be positive and that life is truly a gift. Over the years, with all the dear people that have come into my life, Zach's buddies that a lot of them I didn't know, I'm meeting them still. I mean, it's amazing. there is a special bond with this military. They visited or have found me through phone or Facebook, my dear family, parents, brothers, extended family and friends, that together, if you remain positive, you can get through the toughest of times. I am very fortunate to live in this beautiful community where Zach is recognized all over town. The Little League, the YMCA, the post office, the rock in front of the school, his football jersey retired at school, and many, many more. It's a constant reminder that our family, that Zach will never be forgotten. When we talk about this Memorial Day weekend, honestly, we think of a 3-day weekend to get stuff done around the house and picnics. In 1980, Memorial Day has never really been all about that for me. In 1980, I went through a tragic accident, losing 2 really good friends. So it always brings me back to what Memorial Day is all about. It still is the picnic for me and getting stuff done around the house, but it is much, much more. It's a weekend of remembering all of our military that has fought for our freedom. It is for the ones that have cashed those checks in for their lives. It makes me think, while I'm at a picnic or doing lawn work that Zach so loved to do, that we have to make every day count. We have to live right. We are never promised tomorrow, and someday we will all be remembered. And after we pass to this next, we have to live right. After we pass to the next phase of our eternal life. Until then, it is important to remember our military, remember that the dynamics of Gold Star families are different. The sacrifice is not only the military member, but the family that has to worry about their family member while they're away, especially when deployed at wartime, and of course, if something happens like it did to our family. You are reminded every day that is Memorial Day, and as we never can forget how our lives have been altered by such a loss. I will continue to pull my strength from all the positive people in my life. I am grateful for my deep faith as I feel Zach with me all the time. His signs are amazing. And for the record, there are many of you out there that already know one of my signs of Zach is finding 4-leaf clovers on his grave. And I have found one more since I wrote this Friday, 207 so far off his grave. If I could leave one thought with all of you today, is if your heart is open, you will hear, you will see, you will feel your loved ones if you let them in. It is not an imagination, it is not pretend. The Lord's Prayer says it all, heaven is on earth. It is just in a different dimension. Your loved ones never leave you, only if you let them. Lastly, thank you all that have had a part in this Memorial Day event, and thank you to all of our military, past and present. God bless all of you.
Thank you, Gold Star Mother Kim Smith, and all that you go through. Today we're fortunate to have another Gold Star Mother here. We have Mrs. Hatter here today, and the AMVETS Post 245 and the AMVETS Riders will present an honor and remembrance flag to Mrs. Hatter. This presentation is going to be by Commander John Foster and John Turner. The folding of the flag will be by Roy Randall and Paul Booth.
Ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, welcome, and Mrs. Hatter, good to see you again. The Hornell AMVETS comes to this place of honor to pay our respects to our fallen brothers and sisters who have given all to this great country of ours. We do this without reservation. We do not see the color of their skin. We do not care by what name they call their God. All that we care about is the fact that they left their families and loved ones behind to answer the call of their country, that they put on a uniform and marched off into harm's way to protect the way of life that we live and the country that we love. That is all that matters to us. Today we wish to offer our respects to Corporal Larry R. Hatter, a young Hornellian who answered the call of his country, who left his friends and family to do his duty, who as a young boy, like so many of us, played the Army and cowboys and Indians, till we traded our toy guns for baseballs and footballs, Saturday night dances, proms, and graduations, Then comes along the day of life, the boy becomes a man. That day came for Larry. His country called and he answered, becoming a Marine. He trained as an aircrew member and went to Vietnam. His tour of duty started June 21st, 1970. And with 4 months left, on February 18th, 1971, he gave his all, along with 4 other members of his aircrew and their 4 passengers. The Hatter family graciously allowed Hornell AMVETS Post 245 to name our post after Larry. This is an honor that we hold very near to our hearts. So, with family and friends around, we wish to present to Mrs. Sarah Hatter, Larry's mother, an honor and remember flag. We offer this flag with pride in our hearts and tears in our eyes, not as a replacement for a beloved son and brother, for that can never be done, only as a sign of honor and remembrance. As we present this flag, please remember the symbolism of this flag. The red field represents the blood spilled by brave men and women in America's military throughout our history, who willingly gave their lives so that we would remain free. The blue star represents active service in a military conflict. This symbol originated with World War I, but on this flag it signifies service through all generations from the American Revolution to present day. The white border beneath and surrounding the gold star recognizes the purity of sacrifice. There is no greater price an American can pay than to give his or her life in service to our country. The gold star signifies the ultimate sacrifice of a warrior in active service, to whom will not return home. Gold reflects the value of the life that was given. The folded flag signifies the final tribute to an individual life that a family sacrificed and gave to a nation. The flame is an eternal reminder of the spirit that has departed this life, yet burns on in the memory of all who knew and loved the fallen hero. Thank you.
Thank you, AMVETS, and thank you, Mrs. Hatter. Each year we contact all the area funeral homes to get the names of veterans who have passed away during the past year. Today, the Bishop and Johnson Funeral Home has memorial balloons that when you hear your veteran's family member's name called, they're going to be in 3 places around the mall here. And you get your balloons, the Memorial Day balloons, and then at the conclusion of reading of all the names in the middle of the mall here, we'll release those balloons. I'm going to call on American Legion Commander Lisa Herrick to post the names of deceased veterans from the past year.
John F. Ahrens, Francis S. Argentieri, Stanley Babcock, Jack Moses Baker, Philip T. Belanca, Gerald H. B.A., Marion L. Brewer, Stephen Brott, James Burse, Frederick C. Campbell, Anthony J. Cavaletti, Dominic C. Mike Cipolla, John Leo Clancy, James J. Coleman, Marvin R. Conley, Glenn Cook, Donald Combs, Burton A. Corbett, James V. Crane, Bert E. Kratzley, James R. Chrissy, Robert A. DeBovernet, Nicholas J. Dugo, William L. Ernest, Thomas R. Eveland, Gerald M. Fitzgerald, Roy Francis Sr., Jerry Gear, Theodore Glover, Ettore Gradoni, Neil Graham, James G. Hainish, Richard Harrington, Wayne Harrington, Richard Lee Harrison, Revere L. Hutchinson, Walter W. Jackson Jr., John J. Klein, James E. Krasinski, Earl LeBaron, James T. Lamont, Reed Lowery, Alexander N. Marcello, Frederick Marks, Charles May, Michael P. McMines, Harry L. Miller, Robert A. Miller Sr., Ernest W. Ernie Moore, William T. Morgan, Nakia Muniz, Victor Newberry Jr., David Norton, Francis G. Oakden, John A. O'Brien, Jonathan Odell, John J. O'Driscoll, David Olcott, Thomas Oliznachek, Joseph Oyer, Edward Pearson, Lawrence Penn, Carolyn M. Penwarden, Stacy Pierce, Carl Reitenauer, Robert J. Wren, Roldan Robinson, Thomas A. Rowan, Robert C. Rose Sr., Robert A. Russell, Franklin J. Smith Jr., Robert J. Stephen, Larry H. Stevens, Kenneth E. Stevens, Robert E. Stewart, Wallace G. Thibodeau, Brian A. Tracy, James R. Walton, Adelbert Wardner, Albert Welch, Robert White.
Thank you, Commander. We have the Hornell High School Choir here this morning for a performance.
To fight for the right and to build the nation's might, and the army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the army goes rolling along. Then it's hi, hi, hey, the army's on its way. Shout off your numbers loud and strong, for wherever you go, you will always know that the army goes rolling along. From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marine. Anchors away, my boys, anchors away. Farewell to college shores, we sail at break of day, 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 day. Through our last night ashore, drink to the foam, until we meet once more. Here's wishing you a happy voyage home. So here's the Coast Guard marching. So here's the Coast Guard marching. Sail on land or sea, through surf and storm and howling gale. High shall our purpose be. Semper Paratus is our guide, our fame, our glory too. To fight, to save, or fight to die. Aye, Coast Guard, we are for you. Off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come, zooming to meet our thunder. Atom boys, give 'em a gun, give 'em a gun! Down we dive, spouting our flames from under. Off with one hell of a roar. We live in fame and we're down in flame. Hey, nothing can stop the U.S. Air Force. The U.S. Air Force.
Thank you very much. New York State was the first state in the nation to legalize May 30th as a holiday, Decoration Day, a day to decorate the graves of fallen soldiers with wreaths and flowers. Today, continuing that tradition, we will now have the placing of memorial wreaths and flowers at our Veterans Memorial Monuments. Sons of the American Legion, Squadron 440, Joe Cleveland. American Legion Auxiliary Unit 440, President Matt Lehman. American Legion Junior Auxiliary Unit 440, Sarah Lehman. American Legion Riders Chapter 440, Vice President Bill Coleman. The FW Post 2250, PO2 Keith Cone, a member of the United States Navy. The FW Post 2250 Auxiliary, Joe Cleveland. That's Post 245, Commander John Boston. Sons of Advents Post 245, Joe Cleveland. Advents Auxiliary Post 245, Barb Trenter. 45, Emmy Turner. American War Dance number 47, Jay Grimaldi. Of the Gold Star Mothers Wreath, we have both Mrs. Hatter and Mrs. Smith.
Detail and salute.
From the city of Hornell, police officer Stuart Martin. From the Hornell Association, John Pepper. Bob Lockwood. From the Hornell News Lodge, number 210, Brad Spicer. Hornell Elks Lodge 364, Carla Johnson. From the G. Carlucci Lodge, the Sons of Italy, Leo Piccolo. From the Masonic Temple, Charles Knighton, Dave Lathers, and Dave Hardy. Joe, please. Now we'll have a presentation of caps from the Hornell High School band member. American Legion Commander Lisa Harris.
I'd like to thank everybody that came out to the ceremony and the parade today. I'd like to thank the veteran riders and their drivers, the Hornell High School Band, and the Hornell High School Choir, all the clubs and organizations that participated in the parade, and all of you that came down here to help us honor our fallen local heroes. To Mr. Vince Kelly, who, the Master of Ceremonies, keeps us all together, Mayor Sean Hogan, Chief Murray, Hornell High School valedictorian Aaron Briggs, congratulations, and to Natalie Marino, Girls State participant, and to Mrs. Vedder and Mrs. Kim Smith. On behalf of all of us, I thank you for your family's sacrifice. We can never repay you. At this time, I'd like to thank my cousin Jack for doing the invocation and the benediction, and for riding with me in the parade. And I'd like to thank all the clubs and organizations that laid wreaths, and to ask the community to continue to support these clubs and organizations that support our veterans and their families. I'd like to invite you to a free luncheon back at the Hornell American Legion, Post 440 on Seneca Street. The entire community is invited, and I hope that you will join us. Thank you.
Our country has survived and grown into the greatest nation in the world because of the dedication, responsibility, and leadership of our veterans. The freedoms that we enjoy every day our thanks to the men and women who served in the armed forces of the United States of America. Thank you for being here today to honor our veterans. We'll conclude our Memorial Day ceremonies with a benediction by Jack Gardner.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, today we remember and pay tribute to the men and women of the armed services who have died in the defense of our nation. From the days of the Revolution to these days in Iraq and Afghanistan, they paid the ultimate sacrifice for freedom we hold so dear. We pray, Father, that we never take for granted or forget that cost that's been paid. Father, we pray for the families that endured this cost, that your grace and mercy will be theirs. We pray this in your name.
Thank you all for being here today.
Come back, Nancy. It better come back.
They are moving them now. The place that they do it like that. See how they're moving them around now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you get hurt at work, you want to be able to turn to a professional you can trust. Someone on your side, with the experience to tell you exactly how things will go. Helping you get your life back together. If you get hurt at work, call 262-COMP today and get the results you deserve.
Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys.
Our customers expect the highest level of sales and service here at Maple City Dodge. I've been buying cars, trucks, and snowplows from Maple City Dodge since the boys here and myself had hair. The reason for my long tenure is Maple City Dodge's customer service. I keep coming back because of the people. They make you feel good.
For 45 years, Maple City Dodge has been selling cars at Hornell. Come on in and see why.
For over 20 years, Wyan Chiropractic Associates has been providing gentle, skilled chiropractic care. Call or stop in at 20 Park Drive in Hornell and let Dr. John Wyatt and Dr. Joseph McKay help you get well and stay well. Regain your life pain-free with help from Wyan Chiropractic Associates.